Ready to light that fire by doing the things that make you come alive? Welcome to Health Raisers, a podcast for wise women. I'm your host, Dr. Nadine. I left a soul-crushing medical career full of bad news and evolved into a joyful health integration coach, helping hundreds of women find their healthy. You're more than your dress size. Stop putting up with toxic relationships, swallowing your true emotions, and sacrificing your mental health. Stop using your body as a battlefield. You're always giving. You deserve to put yourself first, not just for your sake, but for those you love. Wise women, let's make ourselves a priority right now. It's time to raise some health together. Hello, wise women. Today, my guest is Sarah Skinner. Happy birthday, Sarah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Sarah is a wonderful soul who is the proud director of the Bridgman Public Library. I was very curious to talk to Sarah because it's been on my wish list for a while to talk to someone who is in the library sciences and just find out a little bit more about why the library is such a gem to our community. I want to know more. I want to know what it is beyond the obvious, not just a book warehouse, essentially. Yeah. So Sarah, welcome, and let's go ahead and get started and dive into the questions.
Great.
Why did you go into the library sciences?
Well, I have always loved libraries. I'm sure that's a common answer with folks in the library industry. But when I was a child, my dad would take me to the library every week. That was an outing that was just me and him. It was very special to me. We went and we found books and I was able to play and all of that. And I remember the children's librarian to this day, so it just made such a big impact on me that this is someplace that I can go and have a good time, spend time with my family, make some friends. And it's a safe place for me. It's somewhere that I could be safe and I didn't have to worry, about anything because everyone there cared.
I love this answer. So so as many of my listeners know, and maybe you're not totally aware of this, but my podcast focuses on the multidimensional model of health, meaning that we're not just healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, but we're also healthy from a social, emotional, and intellectual standpoint. And what I'm hearing from you is that we're hitting a lot of those other quote unquote softer health pillars.
Right.
So I'm hearing a lot of social. You got a lot of social. Because typically what I hear is people who love books say they like escaping within the book themselves. But it's interesting that you found it in the actual physical space with other people,
right?
A good, safe place for you to completely be yourself.
Right. I've always viewed libraries as like a center of the community where people can go and gather and have, that conversation, that they might not have at home. Some people, don't have lots of friends or they don't have the means to, go out and meet lots of people. But if they come to a free program at the library, there's no cost involved and they could go home with a new friend. You never know. So I personally really appreciate the social aspect of the library. Because one of my goals here at the Bridgman Library is to create programming that brings the generations together. So personally, I want to hear the stories of, hey, me and my grandma used to come to story time, and I remember that. So now I bring my children to story time. Those are the type of intergenerational things that I'm trying to foster here because I really feel that it's important.
So I'm also hearing inclusion.
Absolutely.
I'm so so very happy we're doing this interview. I'm getting more than I thought I would. We have kind of not a backlash, but an awareness, an increasing awareness of ageism.
Right.
And part of what's baked into ageism is a lack of value placed on different generations, especially aging generations.
Right.
But by having these programs that attract families, attract different age groups, I can hear that you want us to improve this anti-ageism message, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember that all ages have value, from the youngest to the oldest. And when we all come together, it just makes everybody better.
Yeah, absolutely. I firmly believe that everybody has something to contribute, no matter how old they are. I'm very respectful of my elders and the lessons that they have learned that they can impart on me. I'm very, not involved, but I'm very aware of my ancestors and what they've done to, influence the life that I lead now, and how I can influence the lives of my kids and my grandkids in the future. So I try to think lots of future forward thinking when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Not everyone talks like this or thinks like this. So what do you think? Do you think it was your early influence with your dad? I mean, was your dad kind of specific or kind of transparent with, this is why we're doing this together, and kind of instilling this idea of different generations' value and wisdom in you?
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I've always been a daddy's girl. So, I spend a lot of time with my dad, and we're both very deep thinkers. So, we have a lot of, intellectual conversations and, things like that. So even from, a young age, he would always explain to me, like, we're going to go to the library and we're going to have a good time today. Or, we do this because X, Y, and Z. My parents were always very good about explaining the reasons why, like why we do this, why we have, these traditions that we carry on. So I think just families in general are important to me because of the values that he instilled in me. But I try to transfer that to all humans, not just the ones I'm related to. So once again, equality is very important at my library. We welcome everybody into this library. We want everybody to come, from babies to, grandma that just celebrated her 100th birthday. We want everybody here. We want all peoples to come and enjoy the library because we're here for them.
And now, here's an ad from our sponsor. In the mood for coffee, tea, yummy pastries, or cool swag? My friends at Infusco have got you covered. Infusco Coffee Roasters is a cozy neighborhood coffee joint in Sawyer and St. Joseph, Michigan. Infusco stands for a healthy community. They craft irresistible seasonal drinks, sourcing local artisans' products. The flavors shine from quality ingredients, and their beans are roasted on site. They do not hide behind tons of sugar. Every time I go, I'm greeted by my name with a smile. Bad service is just non-existent. It feels like stepping into a friend's living room. They keep it personal. Old school, eclectic coffee mugs on the wall, fun merch, including stickers designed by artists, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. It's the perfect place to get to know your neighbors and chat with tourists. You will always find people deep in conversation. Special events keep it fresh. Community, health, the heart of Sawyer. That's Infusco. I hope to meet you there. So what are they going to find besides books when they come to the library? Can you tell us a little bit more about the programming?
Yeah, so we do lots of different programming. We try to, cater it to the different age groups, but we do focus a lot on family programming. So like I mentioned before, where multiple generations can come together and have a good time. Because my goal is, someday someone being like me and going, I remember when we went to the library, me and my parents and, my little sister, and we just had the best time together. And that is what I keep in the back of my mind when we're talking about programming, is ways that we can bring the community in and not just, the moms with babies. We want the dads with babies too. We want the grandmas that babysit while mom and dad are at work. These are all people that, we have something to offer, so we are trying to do our best to get them to come here.
Can you talk about maybe a story or two of a program that was really special to you that might have worked maybe in a more magical way than you thought it would have been?
I think it's our Tuesday early literacy programs.
Okay.
So all we have on Tuesday mornings is just like the early literacy. So, kids up to, kindergarten age. And it's just so much fun because sometimes I just go in there and I just watch them, because watching children play and like discover things on their own is really wonderful to me. Like, I just like seeing all those little light bulbs going off and all of the cute little ideas that they have. And I really like those because it also helps them create connections with people who aren't family. So, for example, we had a little boy and I believe it was his grandmother, come in, and our youth programmer, his name is Kyle. So he was sitting at his desk doing work. And then all of a sudden I hear, Grandma, that's my guy. So then here's this cute little boy, pulling his grandma across the library because he wanted her to meet Kyle because he made an impact, on him. So he's a friend now, he's somebody safe that, this little boy can talk to. And those are the situations that really make my librarian heart explode because that's what I want. I want people to make connections. And, even though, we have plenty of books and we have audiobooks and toys for the kids, it's really the programs and the interactions there that are, is what most special to me.
So not just having it be a solitary, which it can be. They can come in if you want to listen to it quietly because you need to get away from chaos. That's fine. But you can also come and interact with community. Especially being an introvert like I am, it sounds like it would be a wonderful opportunity to come to a program and challenge the idea of, giving a little bit that extra push where I might meet a fellow nerd who likes a certain thing that I wouldn't be able to bump into somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. And once again, that's kind of something that we always keep in the back of our minds is, what is our community interested in and what can we provide to them that would bring them in to, meet new people that they might not have met somewhere else. So, I completely agree with you there.
So besides the little kid literacy and watching that aspect of your heart light up, what's an example of a program for big kids that, like me, that might have surprised you?
So most recently, we had the Pokagon Band of Native Americans do a culture program for us. So they talked about their culture, the, dresses and other outfits that they wear, the dances and things like that. That was extremely well received. And I like doing things like that because in my mind, education is important. It's always good to be a lifelong learner. Just because you're out of school doesn't mean you don't have to learn things. So with the cultural programs like that, I like those because a whole family can come and learn something new. Even though it's kind of more catered towards, the adult crowd, you can bring your teenagers with you and you can talk about how, this culture impacted, how we live today, so you can really start some great conversations by going somewhere and watching, these Native Americans dance. And it was just amazing. So we're bringing in somebody to talk about Celtic traditions and music and things like that this year. So that's going to be another great program that we hope brings in the whole family.
So I was listening to a podcast recently. Simon Sinek has a podcast, A Bit of Optimism. And one of the things he said, he might have been a guest on another one, but at any rate, Simon said this. I'm paraphrasing, but I really thought it was very important. Mm-hmm. The idea that what keeps us apart and what makes us feel very different, especially in this climate nowadays, is the lack of exposure. So you haven't been to an event, or you haven't gone to school with, or you haven't, cut your grass next to someone who doesn't look like you.
Right.
So the lack of exposure to people who don't look like you, who don't think like you, only strengthens this idea of otherness and division.
Yes.
Versus what you're saying, that the library can be a place in the community that stands for exposing us to many different ideas. And I know it sounds a little simplistic, but yeah, books can definitely do that. Books do that.
Absolutely.
They do. But it's almost like there might be a little bit of a barrier there or there might be some overwhelm if you walk into the library and go, gosh, I wish I knew more about X, Y, or Z, but there's so much, I don't know where to start. But what you're talking about is like it eases that entry into becoming a more well-rounded person. You come to an event that you might not have ever thought about. And you go and you learn something new in a very friendly, easy, welcoming way.
Right. Yep. And that's what we're always trying to foster here is a sense of welcome. We want anyone who walks in the door to feel that way. And if people come up to the desk and, are overwhelmed by the number of, resources we have here, all of our staff are very happy to help. Words. So, they can, point you to the right section to learn about what you want. Or if you're looking for a specific, genre of book, they can steer you in that direction or give you some recommendations. So once again, it's about interacting with other people and, taking the knowledge that they have to help you with what you're trying to do. So it all goes hand in hand here.
I love it. How do libraries make knowledge and learning more accessible for everyone versus being online? I wanted to segue into that a little bit because again, there's this it's solitary, but yet it's really easy. We're all walking around, or most of us are. A lot of us are walking around with this little computer in our pockets.
Right.
And you can just basically make anything magical happen just by opening up an app. And it just reinforces access to being alone.
Right.
So how does the library fall into favor versus being online?
Okay. So one of my mottos is you can find 100 answers online, but if you ask a librarian, you're going to get the right one. Because there's a lot of inaccurate information on the internet, as we all know. So people always ask, well, aren't libraries obsolete? We can find everything on Google now. All I have to do is Google it. And I'm like, well, you can Google it all day long, but I can't guarantee that it's going to bring you back the correct answer. because it's not necessarily vetting where it's getting this answer from. It's just looking for those key words. So if you come into the library, we are an institution of knowledge. We're kind of on the level with schools. We want to teach you things. We want you to learn things here. We don't want to do things for you. We want to show you how to do it so then you can do it for yourself next time. So, that's kind of how we look at things here with regards to that.
What would you say to someone who has not visited a library in years? What would that person be missing out on?
Well, I would tell them it ain't your grandma's library anymore. Because a lot of people, they have this idea of what a library is, that once again, it's a warehouse of books. You come here to get books. But we offer, so much more than that now, because we're trying to find places where there's a need in our community, and we're trying to fill those needs. So we not only have books, but we have different audio books. So we have physical audio books, or we have digital. So you can download at 2:00 in the morning because you just finished that last book in your series and you can't wait to go to the library for the next one. We have a library of things. You can check out a metal detector or a ukulele. We have...
Really?
Absolutely. And we have board games that you can check out and take home. If you're having family over, check out Really Loud Librarians. That's a fun game, and take it home and play it with your family. So, and we offer all sorts of other resources. There's databases online that we offer for free. So anybody in Michigan that has a library card can access scholarly articles or encyclopedias or just all sorts of things online. And we can get you any book that you want because we can get it from any library. So we're just filling as many needs as we can. And especially with the programs, that's just another way that we're fulfilling the needs of the community. The socio-emotional needs of the community is kind of what we're shooting for with the programming.
And how do you come up with them? Do you, I'm sure the librarians have a lot of ideas, the staff here, but what about, how do you hear from the community as to what they need?
It's just kind of knowing your community, like being in the community and kind of seeing how people use the library. When I first, came to this library, I spent quite a bit of time just kind of walking around the library and observing the patrons and observing the programs that we already had, because I wanted to see what needs are being filled. So then I can look at the broader picture to say, okay, where can we, beef up some resources for the community. So we have, programming meetings where we brainstorm ideas. My staff are just amazing and have all of the good ideas to begin with. So I'm just kind of sitting there listening. I'm not doing a whole lot. I always tell people, I just pay the bills. They're the ones that have all the fun and have the good ideas.
That's really important.
Yeah, it's good, to have a team that works good together like that, because we just work really well together, in general. But my programming team is amazing.
And what I've noticed about the programming team too is there is at least from what I can see, it's a variety of experiences, lived experiences, ages, where they live. I know they're generally living within the community so that they can also bring back some ideas, listening to their friends and colleagues in other ways about what people want, what people need more of. We're hearing now that there's an epidemic of loneliness.
Right.
It sounds like the library might be a great place, if I'm understanding correctly what we've been talking about, to help assuage that feeling of loneliness.
Absolutely. That is, definitely a goal for at least my library here in Bridgman. But, that is kind of like a value amongst librarians is, being able to combat, different negative aspects of, that are in the community, like loneliness or, not having, money to do things, because you can come here and do things for free. You don't have to have money. The public library is one of the last places that you can just go and be yourself without spending money. You don't have to buy a cup of coffee to sit in here. You don't have to have a library card to come to our library. You can just come here, and so I don't know. Just feeling very passionate about people coming here.
And this is why I wanted to talk to you, because everyone knows that I'm a nerd, but also the lifelong learner, the curious person that I consider myself. I love when I come across people who are so passionate and love what they do in a very real way. It's not staged.
Absolutely.
And you walk the walk, you talk the talk. And I just get to learn and be amongst people and feel, I'm going to say for myself, that sometimes I do get lonely too. And sometimes it's easy to feel, with the zeitgeist being what it is, that everyone is just out for themselves and that people don't really care about each other.
Right.
So for me, it's been a specific practice of hope finding and being more connected on purpose by talking to people like you who it's very clear how much you care. Very, very clear.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you.
I absolutely love my job. I love what I do because it just really reinforces my own personal values. I was able to find a career that aligned with my values. And that is just so important, in my opinion, that, you find something that you're passionate about. So it's not ever work, when you love what you do, it's not work.
Absolutely. And I mean, you even, when you sent me your bio, I was just really struck by the first sentence. Sarah Skinner is the proud director of the Bridgman Public Library.
Absolutely.
And you definitely have shown us that you are.
Yeah. I mean, I brag about this library all the time because, I feel like we do wonderful things, in our little corner of Michigan, and I'm just proud to say that, I'm the leader of a great institution like this. And I don't know, I just want other people to come see how great it is.
Well, thank you for two things. Thank you for being here. And also thank you for being open to my chair yoga program here.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it.
Everybody loves chair yoga here. I've been trying to recruit some more people for you too.
One more question.
Yes.
What is your personal definition of what it means to be healthy?
My definition of what it means to be healthy is taking care of every aspect of yourself. Physical health, but mental health, I believe, is very important because just because you're physically healthy, things can still go wrong if, you're not taking care of your mental health as well. I think it's very important. I also think that self-care is extremely important because you cannot fill somebody else's cup when yours is empty. So you need to do things for yourself to, rejuvenate yourself and bring back that energy and that passion so then you can put that out into the world. Because if you don't have any of that, if it's depleted, then how are you going to put it out there? So I think just a well-rounded, healthy life.
Sarah, this has been a pleasure and a real treat. Thank you so much.
Yes, I've had so much fun. Thank you.
Wise women, move from last place to first place in your life. Stop using your body as a battlefield. Let's raise health together with a customized health plan just for you. Contact me at npkhealthintegration.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.